My former husband, Lord Jiang Chen, took his own life. He departed from this world without a single written word of farewell, yet bequeathed to me his entire vast fortune, lands, merchant houses, and treasures beyond counting. His most trusted steward, Master Liang, sought me out in the mist-shrouded gardens of my estate, his voice thick with a grief he could barely contain. "My lady," he said, the words seeming to cause him physical pain, "you were the only solace in my master's lonely existence. After your honored father's passing, the weight of his guilt was a mountain upon his soul. He believed his absence might finally grant you a measure of peace. He loved you with a fierceness that consumed him. He would have, and did, trade his very life for that love." It was in that suspended moment of shock, standing amidst the blooming peonies still glistening with morning dew, that I learned the truth. The kidney that saved my life years ago, when a sickness had brought me to death's door, it was not a donation from a nameless soul as I had been led to believe. It was his. When my father's silk trade empire teetered on the brink of ruin, it was Jiang Chen who silently sacrificed half of his commercial empire to stabilize it. When my younger brother, Kai, was falsely accused of treason by court rivals, it was Jiang Chen who, under the cover of night and at great personal peril, unearthed the scrolls of evidence that proved his innocence. I remember, with a clarity that now feels like a knife to the heart, the day I demanded our separation. In the grand reception hall of the Jiang estate, he knelt before me, the mighty Lord Jiang, before whom even imperial ministers would lower their eyes, set aside every shred of his formidable dignity. He grasped the hem of my robe, his knuckles white. "Do not leave Mei Lin," he had begged, his voice a raw whisper that echoed off the silent walls. "Please." Yet my hand, guided by the poisonous whispers of others, had taken the brush and sealed our fate upon the divorce papers. When I opened my eyes again, the scent of sandalwood and old parchment filled my senses. The harsh sunlight slanted through the latticed window of a familiar private chamber in a lychee grove law house. Before me, on a low, lacquered table, lay those very divorce papers. Without a moment's hesitation, my hands moving of their own volition, I seized them and tore the delicate rice paper into fragments, letting them fall like snow on the polished floor. Jiang Chen is but a man and flawed. Is it any surprise he keeps concubines? His tears, his pleading, it is merely a performance, a fear that you will drain his coffers. Men wear one face in the light and another in shadow. Even when the mask slips, they can forge devotion from thin air. It is despicable. Mei Lin, just sign. Free yourself from a man like him. You deserve a phoenix, not a crow. The voice belonged to Li Hua, my once closest confidant. Its echo in my mind felt like a cold chain around my neck. My body stiffened. A wave of dizziness, of profound dislocation washed over me. It took several frantic heartbeats for the impossible truth to settle in my bones. I had been reborn. I had returned to this pivotal, wretched moment. My eyes, burning and dry, fixed on the scattered fragments of the agreement. My mind, however, was flooded with visions of Jiang Chen after his death, visions from a future that must now not come to pass. I saw him in the cedarwood bathing tub in his secluded mountain villa, the water around him a spreading bloom of crimson. His face, always so composed, was pale as moonstone, with frozen tear tracks etching paths down his cheeks. On his forearm, revealed by the water, was not a tattoo of ink, but a scarification of raw flesh, forming my name, Mei Lin, intertwined with the characters, "In life and beyond, my soul seeks yours." Master Liang had told me, his own composure shattered, that Jiang Chen had battled the black dog of melancholy for years, a war fought entirely in the silent chambers of his own heart. And in our 3 years of marriage, I, his wife, had noticed nothing. I saw only the unshakable pillar of the merchant world, the gracious host at our banquets. He would present me with the finest, softest silk pads for my monthly courses, murmuring that his steward had purchased them in bulk. He would travel for 2 days and nights to a distant province to retrieve a specific bowl of lotus root porridge I had whimsically craved, then dismiss it as his steward having ordered too much. I was willful, and he indulged me. I was tempestuous, and he weathered my storms. All the while, he locked his profound love away in a vault within himself, throwing away the key. After his death, I once asked Master Liang, through my tears, why did he hide his heart so completely? The old steward had looked at me with an infinite sadness. The master knew you did not love you, my lady. He did not wish his own feelings to become yet another burden for you to bear. Loving you was his own private destiny. Keeping you by his side, even in name only, was the single most selfish act of his selfless life. He paused, then added softly, and yet this unworthy servant believes that to hold a treasure in your hand and pretend it is stone, that was the greatest hardship he ever endured. In the dreams that haunted me after his death, every small kindness was magnified, every patient silence screamed of his devotion. They filled me with a corrosive guilt, a regret so deep it threatened to swallow me whole. Why did I not try? Why did I not see? Meilin, what are you waiting for? The clamoring voice snapped me back to the present. Li Hua stood before me now, not a memory, but a reality, her beautiful face etched with impatience. Sign the papers and you will be free as a swallow on the wind. I lifted my gaze to meet hers. This was the woman who urged me towards divorce with one breath, while with the next she would artfully adjust her silk gowns and drop her handkerchief whenever Jiang Chen was near. The unshed tears in my eyes cooled, crystallizing into something hard and clear. Without a moment, I calmly tore the remaining copy of the agreement in my hand. Li Hua startled, her eyes widening in genuine disbelief. Meilin, what madness is this? I am not leaving him, I said, my voice surprisingly steady. She recovered, her tone turning wheedling. But he consorts with other women. You would truly forgive such betrayal? I nodded, a newfound certainty anchoring me. Yes, I forgive him. With that, I turned to leave the quiet gloom of the law house. But Li Hua darted forward, her fingers biting into my arm. If you do not divorce Jiang Chen, who will cover my family's debt? 50 million taels, you promised. I looked at her hand, then slowly back to her face, my gaze as icy as a midwinter stream. Your family's debts are not my concern. Her composure broke into exaggerated outrage. You swore you would give me all the assets I obtained from the divorce. How can you go back on your word? Are we not sworn sisters? A light, mirthless chuckle escaped my lips. Then it seems our oath was flawed. A friend who spreads venom, poisons a marriage, and covets another's fortune? Perhaps such a friendship is better never to have existed. I walked out into the bustling street of the capital, the noises of hawkers and carts a stark contrast to the quiet turmoil within. Hailing a simple palanquin, I went straight to the headquarters of the Jiang Consortium. As I approached the great vermilion doors, 2 clerks huddled by a stone lion, their hushed voices carried on the breeze. That man, the one tied to the master's wife, he's back again, seeking funds. Again? This is the 2nd time in the month. Last time it was 10 million taels. vanished like smoke. Now he has the audacity to ask for 100 million? Who can say? The master might agree, if his lady whispers in his ear. It's a fool's venture, but for her sake, the master would swallow a loss without blinking. I pursed my lips and quickened my pace, my silk slippers whispering on the stone steps. The two clerks saw me, their faces blanching as they bowed deeply, fearing their gossip had been overheard. Jiang Chen, a mere 100 million, an arrogant, familiar male voice drifted from behind the partially open door of the inner sanctum. Just this sum, and I will ensure Li Hua persuades Mei Lin to stay. Otherwise, all you will receive from her is a decree of divorce. You love her to distraction. You would not begrudge this paltry amount, would you? I stood frozen outside. Through the gap, I could see the speaker, Su Bin, Li Hua's brother. His expression was one of smug superiority. Seated across from him at a vast desk of dark zeton wood was Jiang Chen. His profile was like a cliff face, cold, impassive, showing no emotion. Only his hands, concealed beneath the desk, were clenched so tightly the tendons stood out, the skin stretched white and red. It was I who stepped aside and let Mei Lin go to you, Su Bin continued, his voice rising. If I wished to take her back, a single word would suffice. Jiang Chen, I am offering you a chance. Do not refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. Jiang Chen's eyes sharpened, a glint of dangerous fire in their depths, his jaw rigid. Meanwhile, I knew, from my terrible future knowledge, that his hidden hand was likely bleeding where his nails dug into his palm. Su Bin, emboldened by the silence, leaned forward. I doubt you've seen the intimate portraits of Mei Lin and myself. I wonder how the gossips would feast upon them if they were to circulate. A sly, venomous smile played on Su Bin's lips. Jiang Chen's stillness became that of a predator poised to strike, his gaze murderous. Gritting my teeth, I pushed the door fully open and stepped into the room. Su Bin spun around, surprise flashing across his face. Mei Lin, what are you doing here? Should you not be at the lychee grove with Li Hua? He caught himself, swallowing his next words and shooting a nervous glance at Jiang Chen, the picture of a guilty man. So it was true. Li Hua whispered slander in my ear, while Su Bin used my past affection as a weapon to extort Jiang Chen. This deceitful pair of siblings were the wedges driven between us, the architects of Jiang Chen's despair. Yes, a cold voice inside me confirmed. Jiang Chen was driven to his death. Li Hua and Su Bin held the knife, and I, blind and proud, guided their hand. When Jiang Chen saw me, a visible effort went through him, suppressing the storm of anger. He turned back to Su Bin, on the verge of uttering the agreement I knew would seal his company's future troubles. I quickly moved to his side, my hand settling lightly on his sleeve. Husband, I said, the term feeling both foreign and right on my tongue. I think we must reconsider Su Bin's proposal with more diligence. Jiang Chen went utterly still. Su Bin's displeasure was immediate. Mei Lin, do not interfere in affairs of business you cannot comprehend. I glanced at him, my voice cold. Perhaps I do not comprehend complex ledgers, but Jiang Chen spends the Jiang Consortium's wealth. As his wife, his fortunes are mine to safeguard as well. 100 million taels is not paltry. Whether it is given depends on my agreement as much as his. Su Bin was stunned, his brow furrowed. Jiang Chen remained motionless, his handsome face an unreadable mask. I decisively linked my arm with Jiang Chen and repeated, firmly, "And at this moment I do not agree. Do you understand me?" Jiang Chen's lips parted slightly. Then he nodded, a gesture of profound obedience. "I understand." Su Bin gritted his teeth. "Mei Lin, have you forgotten our understanding? What we planned?" "I have forgotten everything," I interrupted bluntly. His face flushed with anger. "And in the future, address me with propriety. Others might misconstrue our relationship. The words you just uttered were nothing short of slander against my virtue." "Mei Lin, how have you become like this?" he sputtered. "Suddenly? No, I should have become like this long ago. I am a married woman. Mind your place, Master Su." Then I turned my face slightly towards Jiang Chen, allowing a sliver of vulnerability into my voice. "Husband, my ears are tired of this noise." Jiang Chen's cold gaze settled on Su Bin. "Leave. Now." Su Bin was shocked, clearly unaccustomed to such dismissal. I added, "He said leave. Must you be thrown out?" Enraged, he grabbed a porcelain cup of hot tea from the table and hurled it at me. Jiang Chen moved with a speed that belied his usual calm, sweeping me behind him. The scalding liquid struck his back, soaking through his pristine white silk robe. The fabric darkened, steam rising from the stain. Yet Jiang Chen showed no sign of pain, his expression unchanged. Without another word, he summoned guards, who bodily removed the cursing Su Bin. Silence descended upon the spacious office, leaving only the two of us. Standing before him, my fingers trembled as I began to work on the small, intricate buttons of his robe. The hot tea had seeped through, and I feared for the skin beneath. "Are you crying?" His voice, deep and quiet, came from above me. I wiped hastily at my eyes, my throat tight. "I am so useless. I cannot even undo buttons. That tea was boiling. It must hurt terribly." A large, warm hand, slightly calloused, covered mine. A surge of heat flowed from his palm into my cold fingers. Then, with a sudden, violent motion, he tore the robe open, sending mother-of-pearl buttons skittering across the floor. I gasped. The toned plane of his chest and abdomen was before me. I lifted my gaze to meet his. Under his intense stare, a flush crept up my neck. "They are undone," he said gently, a strange note in his voice. "Do not be distressed." Swallowing hard, I took a jar of burn salve from a side cabinet. With trembling fingers, I applied the ointment to the reddened skin of his lower back. He watched in silence. My ministrations led me to a long, trench-like scar on his left side, the site of his missing kidney. My heart clenched. The emotions I had battled all day surged forth, and tears spilled over. Jiang Chen panicked. "Is the scar too unsightly? Did it frighten you?" He moved to cover himself. I shook my head vehemently. "No, it is not ugly, not at all." My voice broke. "It is so long. How much did it pain you when this cut? And a kidney, how could you give it so freely?" He paused. "You know?" "Since when?" I wiped my nose, glaring at him with a resentment born of heartache. "You are too good at silent sacrifice. Donating a kidney without a word? Letting me believe it was Su Bin's charity?" He pressed his lips together, a shadow crossing his handsome features. "Su Bin said you wouldn't want anything from me. I feared you would reject it." "You fool!" The words were a sob. I threw my arms around him, burying my face in his chest, weeping uncontrollably. "Can you just tell me what's in your heart? How many misunderstandings have festered because you would not speak and I would not ask? We let vipers nest between us." I felt his hands on my shoulders, gripping tightly, as if he were holding back a torrent. "I was afraid," he admitted, the admission ripped from him. "Of what?" "I was afraid you did not want me, that you would come to hate me. Our marriage began as a transaction for your family's sake. Forcing you to stay was the height of my selfishness." "Jiang Chen," I said, looking up at him, my tone carrying a newfound authority born of tragic knowledge. "Kiss me." Perhaps it was because I now knew the depth of his love that I could be so bold with the man I had once feared and resented. We had wasted too much time. In this borrowed life, I would waste no more. His eyes flickered with stunned disbelief. Heaven knew, in 3 years of marriage, we had never shared a true kiss. He froze. I rose on my toes and touched my lips to his. The accidental force of it pushed him back onto the nearby divan. "Mei Lin, I do not wish to hurt you," he strained, his voice thick. Before I could ponder his meaning, I nestled closer. "Then hold me, tightly, as if you would never let go." His strength was overwhelming. As his arms encircled me, it felt as if he sought to fuse our very souls together. A sudden spring rain began to patter against the paper windows. It rustled on the leaves of the courtyard bamboo, dressed the budding flowers in glistening pearls. The blossoms swayed in the gentle breeze, dancing a silent, graceful ballet. A sweet, damp fragrance filled the air. All restraint, all suppression melted away into a tender, consuming urgency. Later, on the divan, I lay curled against him. His outer robe was draped over me. My own inner garments were in disarray on the floor. He gently wiped perspiration from my brow, his face etched with remorse. "Forgive me, Mei Lin, I lost control." My cheeks burned, my mind replaying the blush-inducing intimacy. I bit my lip lightly and nestled closer. What is there to forgive? There is always a next time. Yet he seemed uneasy. It feels like a dream. None of this feels real. So he had clung to it desperately, body and soul, as if committing the act would make it permanent. "Do you not have an afternoon council?" I gave him a slight push. "You should refresh yourself." He rose reluctantly, his gaze still possessive. "Do not worry," I murmured. "I am going nowhere, and in my current state, I doubt I could." He finally retreated to the adjacent bathing chamber. Hearing the sound of water, I relaxed. This man, once stripped of his emotional armor, was formidable. "My lord, I have brought the garments you requested in the usual measurements." A woman's voice, smooth as honey, came from the doorway. It cut off abruptly. "My lady, when did you arrive?" I leisurely fastened Jiang Chen's inner robe around me, my slender legs exposed. The disarrayed room, the sound of water, and the lingering scent, it was unmistakable. Any other witness might have shamed me, but the woman standing there was Yue Hua, Jiang Chen's secretary, who had long subtly challenged my place. "I came to see my husband," I said coolly. "Must I report my movements to you?" Of course not. I was merely surprised." "Indeed, you must be, that I did not listen to Li Hua and divorce him, that I am here, indulging with my own husband." I let the robe fall open slightly. Her eyes widened before she lowered her head. "I do not know what you mean, my lady. I am only here to deliver the Lord's evening attire for the imperial banquet. It is my duty to prepare such things." I smiled coldly. "Garments meant for me, yet in your size." In my past life, this very detail had convinced me of his infidelity. Yue Hua stiffened. "My lady, I have always attended to the Lord's needs." And what of it?" She bit her lower lip, her eyes glistening. "I am only present when the Lord requires assistance. A true lady should be understanding of such necessities." I picked up the silk gown she had brought and let it fall to the floor. Yue Hua's face flushed. "No," I said, "I do not care to understand a woman who presents herself before my husband in sheer silks and low-cut dresses." She froze, a hand instinctively moving to her collar. "It is a misunderstanding." "Misunderstanding?" My hand flew, striking her cheek with a sharp crack. The red imprint did little to soothe my rage. This was the woman who had sent me anonymous notes and suggestive tokens, poisoning my mind against Jiang Chen. I raised my hand again, but she caught my wrist. "My lady, do not go too far."
Striking a shameless schemer, that is not far enough. I wrenched free, and my second slap sent her stumbling to the ground. Just then, the water stopped. Jiang Chen emerged, a towel around his waist, his hair damp. Seeing Yue Hua, he frowned and swiftly donned a robe. "My lord, I came only to deliver your garments, but my lady has misunderstood." She covered her cheek, the picture of fragile grievance.
Jiang Chen's eyes flickered to me. What occurred? I pointed at Yu Hua. She brought a banquet gown for me, tailored to her own measurements. Understanding dawned in his eyes instantly. Before she could utter another word, he stated coldly, "You are dismissed." Yu Hua paled, disbelief etched on her face. I, too, was taken aback by the swiftness. "When one's company dismisses an employee," I murmured later, after she had been escorted out, "is it truly so simple?" As we left his office, I wrapped my arms around his neck, feigning a whisper loud enough to carry. "My back aches. Carry me and help me bathe." I saw Yu Hua's spine stiffen before she disappeared. A petty triumph warmed me. I did not notice the smoldering look in Jiang Chen's eyes until he swept me into his arms. "No, I can manage." "Your back aches," he stated seriously, carrying me towards the private baths. "I will assist." "It does not." "It does." We never made it to the imperial banquet. Jiang Chen took me home, to the moon-embracing villa in the southern hills, our marital home, a property registered solely in my name, his wedding gift. When he had first come, using my father's crisis to secure a marriage agreement, I had seen only a ruthless negotiator. I never saw the protector who would give half his wealth to save my father, clear my brother's name, and gift me this sanctuary without demanding anything in return. For years, I had barred him from entering. As he carried me from the carriage tonight, he asked cautiously, "May I truly enter?" "This is your home," I said, softening against him. "Our home." He pressed his lips together and carried me over the threshold, step by deliberate step. Tonight, I thought, we would talk. I would tell him to love me openly, boldly, that husband and wife share one fate, that I would learn to be his haven. But before we even reached the inner courtyard, the warm anticipation shattered. Through the open window of the main hall, I saw two uninvited guests, Li Hua and Su Bin, lounging on our divans, eating rare fruits from the south, drinking imported wine, treating the villa as their own. Trash littered the fine carpets. Our steward was run ragged by their demands. "One steward seems insufficient. I will arrange for 2 more tomorrow," his tone without trace of displeasure. I frowned. "You dislike them. Why endure it?" He looked at me, his gaze soft. "They are your friends. Your happiness with them, I must accept it." A pang of sorrow struck me. "Would you agree to anything?" I asked, "even if it meant your ruin?" His eyes held mine, unwavering. "Yes." I understood that single, instant affirmation. In my past life, I had blamed my father's death on him, publicly wishing for his demise, and he had granted that wish, just to please me. Tears welled. "Jiang Chen, you are forbidden from dying. Do you hear me? No matter who threatens you, even if it is I who speak the words, you are not allowed to die." He seemed stunned. Then his arms tightened around me. "As you command, I will not die." Looking at the oblivious siblings through the window, hatred curdled in my stomach. "Set me down. Enter after me. Listen to what they truly say." He frowned slightly. "I know nothing of business. Whether to partner with Su Bin or not, judge rationally. Whatever you decide, I will trust you unconditionally." With that, I entered the hall. Li Hua immediately pulled me onto a cushion. Su Bin shot me a sullen look. "Malin, why cling to a scoundrel like Jiang Chen? He orchestrated your father's troubles. How can you be soft toward your enemy? Yet he spent a fortune to save my father. Li Hua, I struggle to believe your portrait of him." She flustered. "Perhaps he finds it amusing. Who knows the mind of such a cold man? And his secretary, are you not bothered?
If you don't love him, staying is torture. The important thing is the divorce settlement." Su Bin sneered. Mei Lin seems to have forgotten her past, bewitched by Zhang Chen. Li Hua pretended to sob. "Your words today have wounded us deeply. We are sworn sisters. My family is in dire need and you refuse to help. When my brother risked his life to donate a kidney to you, when he gathered evidence for your brother, you promised a lifetime of gratitude. Is this how you repay us?" Once these claims had bound me. Now I watched their performance calmly. "You are right," I said softly. "I should repay my savior." They brightened, thinking victory near. "But," I continued, "after divorcing Zhang Chen, a woman with no protection, what if he withdraws support from my father? What then?" Li Hua hesitated. Su Bin leaned forward earnestly. "I will marry you then. I will support your father. Mei Lin, you must know my feelings."
I looked at him with feigned hope. "Brother Su, when my father's business faltered before, you said you could not help. How is it you can help after my divorce?" His face stiffened. I was blind to my own heart then. These 3 years of your marriage have been a nightly torment for me. I felt nauseated. "Brother Su, since you are so devoted, I accept. I will divorce him." They grinned triumphantly. "However," I added, pulling a document from my sleeve, "we have a prenuptial agreement. I will receive nothing. I will be penniless, burdened with my father's debts. If you sign this, pledging 100 million taels to my father's business unconditionally, he may permit our marriage." My sincerity was a mask. Their disgust was plain. Li Hua tried to intervene. "Mei Lin, is this necessary? Do you doubt my brother?" "I trust his character. I fear my father may not." The room fell silent. "I have fine wine upstairs," I said lightly. "Let us toast my impending freedom and union with Brother Su." I ascended to the private chamber. Their voices, unguarded, floated up. "Brother, if we sign, we are ruined." "What choice do we have?" "Do not worry, I have another plan." I knew that plan. In my past life, it was a staged kidnapping for ransom, the act that began Zhang Chen's financial undoing and my family's final collapse. As I stood by the liquor cabinet, a long arm encircled me from behind. "Jiang Chen." "Forgive me," he whispered into my hair. "You did not know they spoke such poison." "No," I said, turning. "The fault was mine, for listening. You who loved me in silence, your pain must have been far greater than mine. That is why, after my final cruel words, he saw no reason to stay in this world." He lowered his head, kissing the tears from my cheeks. The kiss found the corner of my mouth, tender at first, then suddenly fierce, possessive. "Mei Lin, you will call no other man Grother again." I recalled my address to Su Bin. I was lowering their guard. "I do not care. I cannot bear it. Hearing it, I wanted to storm in and end him." The evidence of the siblings' kidnapping plot was given to the magistrate. Proof of Su Bin's financial extortion was submitted to the Board of Revenue. Zhang Chen uncovered that my father's original crisis was due to Su Bin leaking trade secrets. The Su family conglomerate collapsed. Su Bin was sentenced to life in the imperial mines. When Li Hua came begging, I showed her a memory aid depicting her attempting to seduce Zhang Chen. How strange that a man you called scum was worth such effort. She denied it until I revealed her collusion with the secretary Yu Hua. Her mask finally slipped. "What makes you worthy of Zhang Chen's love? You only wanted his wealth. He is blind to love you. You are not worthy." Not worthy. That perhaps was true. He was too magnificent, too devoted. Even nestled in his arms, I was haunted by the question, why did I deserve this? He would kneel to fasten my slippers. He would set aside his dignity to feed me morsels. He was meticulous, flawless, except in one regard. His stamina was formidable, overwhelming even. The thought made me blush. Li Hua stared, confused. Why are you blushing? I am reviling you. What do you want? I sighed. I cannot give it. Plead with Zhang Chen yourself. You would share him? If he is willing, I do not object. 10 minutes later, she was thrown from the Zhang Consortium gates, disheveled and humiliated. Zhang Chen's furious summons reached me. Immediately, I timidly approached his office door. His steward's loud announcement startled me, and the door flew open. Zhang Chen pulled me inside before the gaping staff and closed the door firmly. He even gave me a light, chastising pat on the behind, fully seen by others outside. My face burned. Zhang Chen, you are wicked! He kissed me, swallowing my protests. Before, I only dared to dream. Now that I can act, I am beyond restraint. Meilin, say you love me. In the days that followed, those whispered words of love became a balm. They could brighten his gloom, clear his mind. I learned the profound comfort of spoken affection. Zhang Chen, I would whisper in the quiet of our nights, thank you for loving me so deeply. From Zhang Chen's perspective, after my death, my spirit lingered. I saw Mei Lin's heartbreak upon hearing my steward's words. I blamed the old man. Why cause her such sorrow? I had thought my death might bring her peace, but it only multiplied her grief. When I opened my eyes again, reborn into the moment she demanded divorce, I was lost. How could I make her happy? Perhaps letting her go was the only kindness left. But then she changed. She became proactive, caring, tender. She kissed me. Having been reborn, I should have been stronger, but I could refuse her nothing. Mei Lin, this time you walked into my embrace. I will never let go. Even if it means dying for you anew, I am content.
It is a relief. All moves toward light now. The kindness I showed her, she returns twofold. The love I gave her, she loves me back with doubled ferocity. Mei Lin, I love you. In life and beyond, my soul seeks yours. Weeks turned into months, each day a deliberate weaving of a new tapestry from the threads of our broken past. The moon-embracing villa slowly shed the cold, museum-like quality it had held during our estrangement. My perfumes mingled with the scent of his inkstones in the study. His riding boots stood beside my silk slippers at the entrance. Laughter, once a rare echo in the vast halls, began to find a home there. I dedicated myself to understanding the empire he had built. I sat with Master Liang, not as a lady receiving reports, but as a student learning about tea routes, silk valuations, and shipyard logistics. At first, Zhang Chen would hover, a worried crease between his brows, as if fearing I would find it tedious or be overwhelmed. You do not have to do this, he said one evening, finding me surrounded by ledgers by candlelight. I looked up, smiling. I want to know the weight of the world you carry. I want to be a pillar for you, not a decoration on the wall. His expression softened, the perpetual tension in his shoulders easing a fraction more. He began to share his burdens, not the extorted confessions of a desperate man, but the considered challenges of a leader. We would discuss tricky negotiations with the northern tribes, the imperial court's new tariffs, the stability of the southern rice harvest. My perspective, once sheltered and naive, slowly sharpened. Sometimes I offered an insight that made him pause and look at me with a fresh, appreciative wonder. The physical intimacy between us, born of desperate passion, deepened into a language of its own. It was no longer just about claiming or being claimed. It became about comfort after a long day, a silent celebration of a success, a wordless reassurance during a rare moment of doubt. I learned the maps of his body, the old scar from a childhood fall on his knee, the particular spot on his neck where a touch could make him sigh, just as he had always known mine. The terrifying stamina I had once blushed over became a familiar, exhausting, and deeply cherished rhythm of our shared life. One afternoon, we visited the ancestral temple of the Jiang family. I had never gone with him before. I watched as he lit incense for his parents, his movements solemn and graceful. Then he turned to me, holding out a second stick. "They would have wished to meet you," he said simply. Tears pricked my eyes as I accepted it. I bowed before the tablets, not as a duty, but with genuine respect. "Thank you to the silent plaques for the son you raised. I will care for him with my life." His hand found mine, squeezing tightly. In that quiet, smoky hall, surrounded by the names of his ancestors, I felt finally, irrevocably woven into the fabric of his world. News from the outside reached us. Li Hua's family, stripped of Su Bin's dubious influence and burdened with debt, had faded into obscurity. I heard she had been married off as a concubine to a minor official in a distant, barren province, a fate her own vanity and malice had crafted. There was no satisfaction in it, only a hollow pang of pity for the friendship we had both destroyed. Yu Hua, the dismissed secretary, attempted to sell fabricated stories about Jiang Chen to a rival merchant house. Jiang Chen's network, efficient and ruthless when needed, discovered the plot. She was publicly disgraced and left the capital in shame. Justice, in this life, was not a spectator. It was an active, quiet force we now wielded together. The final ghost of our past was laid to rest on the anniversary of my father's death. In my previous life, this date had been a festering wound of blame and regret. This time, Jiang Chen and I traveled to the family gravesite together. We cleaned the stone, laid out offerings of his favorite wine and my mother's peach blossom cakes. Standing before the grave, I spoke aloud the truth I had unearthed with Jiang Chen's help. "Father, the man who saved your business, who protected our family's honor, it was him. It was always him. I see clearly now. Please rest in peace, knowing I am loved and safe." A breeze rustled the cypress trees, carrying away the last whispers of old resentment. Jiang Chen stood beside me, a silent, solid presence. He did not ask for forgiveness from the dead. He had already received it from the living. That night, back at the villa, he presented me with a small sandalwood box. Inside, on a bed of dark velvet, lay two simple but exquisitely carved jade hairpins, their ends shaped into intertwined lotuses, a symbol of faithful love in a muddy world. "They are not from the Jiang family vault," he said, his voice unusually hesitant. "I carved them myself. It took many attempts." I took one, feeling the cool, smooth weight of it, tracing the slightly imperfect lines made by his own hands, not a master craftsman's. It was the most precious gift I had ever received. My vision blurred. "Help me put it on," I managed to say.
His large, capable hands, which could command empires and tear silk robes, were trembling as he carefully slid the pin into my hair. He looked at me, his dark eyes reflecting the lamplight and something infinitely softer. "Malin," he said, the name of vow. "My heart is no longer a locked vault. The key is yours. It has always been yours." I reached for his hand, placing it over my own heart. "And mine beats only in rhythm with yours. No more silence, Jiang Chen. No more hidden sacrifices. Our joys, our burdens, we share them all." He pulled me into an embrace that spoke of homecoming, of a long journey finally ended at the right destination. 5 years later. The sound of childish laughter echoes through the gardens of the moon-embracing villa. A little boy with his father's serious eyes and my unruly hair is being chased by a girl a year younger, her shrieks of joy piercing the tranquil air. Their nurse follows at a discreet distance, smiling. From the shaded pavilion, I watch them, a warmth spreading through my chest that has become as constant as my own breath. A strong arm slides around my waist, and Jiang Chen rests his chin on my shoulder. He is trying to calculate the fastest route to the lotus pond to evade her, Jiang Chen observes, a hint of pride in his voice. And she is using sheer, unpredictable chaos, which will likely work better, I laugh. Our son, Li Wei, strength and protector, and our daughter, Xin Yi, joyful heart, are the living, breathing testaments to our rebuilt world. They know nothing of the darkness that preceded them, only the abundant, secure love that surrounds them now. Jiang Chen's business empire thrives, but he no longer works himself to the bone. He delegates, he trusts his council, which now includes a surprisingly shrewd Master Liang and a fiercely loyal new steward, and he always returns home before the lanterns are lit. Our evenings are for family, for stories, for quiet companionship. Sometimes, in the deepest part of the night, I still wake from a phantom dream, a vision of blood in water, of a pale, still face. A jolt of old terror seizes me. But then I feel the solid warmth of him beside me, hear his steady breathing, and his arm instinctively draws me closer even in sleep. The ghost fades, replaced by the palpable reality of his heartbeat under my hand. The love between us is no longer a desperate, silent sacrifice. It is a chosen, spoken, and lived reality. It is in the way he still brings me a specific tea from a far-off mountain, now with a simple, honest, "I thought you would like this." It is in the way I manage the household and parts of his charitable trusts with an efficiency that earns his genuine respect. It is in the way we can sit in comfortable silence or debate passionately or simply watch our children play. We have built a life, not from the ashes of the old one, but on a new foundation, forged in truth, trust, and hard-won understanding. The scars remain, the one on his side, the invisible ones on our souls, but they have healed into reminders of resilience, not wounds of despair. As the sun begins to set, painting the sky in hues of peach and gold, Jiang Chen turns me gently to face him. He brushes a stray hair from my cheek, his touch as familiar as my own. "Are you happy, Meilin?" he asks, the question he no longer needs to be asked, but loves to hear answered. I look into his eyes, seeing the man who loved me to death and beyond, and whom I now love with every breath of this second chance. I am home, I say, and it is the truest answer. With you and with them, I am finally, completely home. He smiles, a true, unguarded smile that lights his whole face, and kisses me softly as our children's laughter ring like bells in the twilight, a perfect melody for our peaceful, enduring world.